Michael Sullivan stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of his penthouse, adjusting the cuffs of his tailored suit as thunder rolled across the Manhattan skyline. The dark clouds matched his mood, gathering and threatening, like the weight in his chest that never seemed to lift. 3 years since Rebecca's death, and some mornings the loss still hit him with the same breathtaking force as the day she died. His reflection stared back at him, successful CEO at 45, with everything money could buy, and the one thing it couldn't: time back with the woman he'd built this life with. Michael's fingers brushed against the silver frame on his dresser, tracing the outline of Rebecca's smile and the identical grins of their twin daughters Lily and Lucy, their fifth birthday, captured just weeks before the accident. "Daddy, are you being sad again?" Lily appeared in the doorway, her small frame dwarfed by an oversized stuffed unicorn dragging behind her. Her sister Lucy followed, carrying a picture book upside down. Michael quickly composed his expression, kneeling to their level as they rushed toward him in matching pajamas. "Not sad, princess. Just thinking." He smoothed Lily's tangled curls. "Where's Mrs. Jenkins? You two should be getting dressed for school." "She's making pancakes shaped like stars." Lucy climbed onto his knee, her small hands patting his cheeks. "Your eyes look tired. Did you have bad dreams?" Michael lifted both girls into his arms, inhaling the scent of strawberry shampoo and innocence. "No bad dreams, just grown-up thoughts. Now who's ready for stirred pancakes?" The kitchen was warm with the smell of butter and maple syrup, and Mrs. Jenkins humming as she flipped another pancake. The 60-something housekeeper had been with them since before the twins were born, and after Rebecca died, she'd become the closest thing to a grandmother the girls had. "There you are. I was about to send a search party." She placed plates in front of the girls' booster seats. "You're going to be late for that 9 o'clock board meeting if you don't hurry, Mr. Sullivan." Michael poured coffee into his travel mug, scrolling through emails on his phone. "Williams can start without me. The girls' parent-teacher conference is at 8:30. Mrs. Jenkins raised an eyebrow. "I thought Ms. Monroe was handling that. Isn't that why you hired her?" "Catherine is excellent at managing my schedule, not raising my children." Michael tucked his phone away, helping Lucy with beer syrup. "I'll be there for the budget meeting at 10. An hour later, Michael sat in a too-small chair across from Miss Baxter, the twins' kindergarten teacher. Her classroom smelled of crayons and glue student artwork covering every inch of wall space. He spotted his daughter's matching drawings of what appeared to be purple cats with wings. "Mr. Sullivan, the girls are doing wonderfully academically. They're reading above grade level, and their math skills are impressive." Miss Baxter folded her hands on her desk. "But I am a little concerned about their social development." Michael leaned forward. "What kind of concerns?" "They're incredibly close, which is common with twins, but they rarely interact with other children. During free play, they create their own world together. When other children try to join, they're polite but distant." The observation struck Michael like a physical blow. Had he been so consumed with work and grief that he'd missed his daughters retreating into themselves, Rebecca would have noticed immediately. She would have arranged play dates, birthday parties, built a community around them. "I appreciate your candor, Miss Baxter. What do you suggest?" She smiled gently. "More social interactions outside of school. Playdates, community activities, perhaps some time apart occasionally to develop individual friendships. Children need more than just each other and adults in their lives." Michael nodded, thinking of his daughter's small world that revolved around their penthouse, his mother's cottage on weekends, and the rotating staff of nannies who never seemed to stay longer than a few months. He'd created a bubble of luxury that was starting to feel like a gilded cage. The Sullivan Technologies headquarters occupied 30 floors of gleaming steel and glass in Midtown. Michael's corner office on the top floor offered views of Central Park, though he rarely took time to appreciate them. Today, the morning's conversation weighed on him as he half-listened to his CFO detail quarterly projections. "Michael, are you with us?" James Williams tapped his pen against the conference table. "The girls need friends." The words slipped out before Michael could stop them. 8 executives in power suits stared at him in silence. His assistant, Catherine, who had been taking notes at the edge of the room, froze mid-keystroke. "I apologize." Michael straightened in his chair. "Proceed with the budget allocations." After the meeting, Catherine followed him into his office, closing the door behind her. At 33, she was the most efficient executive assistant he'd ever had. professional, discreet, and unflappable. The call with Tokyo is confirmed for 6 p.m. I've moved the Phillips meeting to tomorrow, and Aaron needs your signature on the new patents. She placed a stack of files on his desk. Also, Ms. Winters called again about dinner this weekend. Michael rubbed his temples. Tell Elise I'm unavailable. That's the third time this month. She's persistent. She's interested in Sullivan Technologies' market valuation, not me. Michael stared at the photo of his daughters on his desk. Their teacher thinks they need more socialization. Catherine's professional demeanor softened. Children need stability and routine after loss. You're doing the best you can. Am I? I've given them everything except what they actually need. Normalcy, friends, a mother figure. You can't replace their mother. I'm not trying to. Michael swiveled his chair toward the window. But maybe it's time to stop hiding behind work. Catherine hesitated. If you're considering dating again, there are better options than Elise Winters. What about that dating service Angela in marketing mentioned? The one that matches based on values and lifestyle, not just status. The last thing I need is another socialite pretending to be interested in family life until she realizes 5-year-olds aren't at accessories. Then don't mention your position. Use a different name, keep it simple. Catherine pulled out her tablet. Angela said it's called Heart Match. Supposedly very discreet, focuses on compatibility rather than superficial connections. Michael almost dismissed the idea outright, but Miss Baxter's concerned face flashed in his mind. The girls needed more than he alone could give them. Fine, set up an account, but nothing that can be traced back to Sullivan Technologies. That evening, after tucking the twins into bed, Michael sat on his balcony with a glass of scotch, scrolling through the dating profile Catherine had created. Michael Turner, project manager, divorced, loves hiking, classic literature, and quiet evenings at home. The photo showed him in casual clothes from a company retreat 2 years ago, sunglasses partially obscuring his face. The app suggested several matches, but one profile caught his attention. Olivia Parker, 32, librarian. Her photo wasn't professionally shot like many others, just a simple picture of a woman with honey blonde hair and bright eyes sitting cross-legged on a library floor surrounded by children's books. Her profile mentioned a love of classic literature, working with children, and a dream of starting a mobile reading program for underserved communities. Michael swiped right before he could overthink it. They matched instantly. His phone pinged with a message. Hello, fellow bookworm. What are you reading these days? The conversation flowed easily. Olivia was witty and thoughtful, asking about his favorite authors rather than his job or income. When he mentioned having children, she didn't disappear like previous matches. Instead, she shared stories about the kids at her library and asked about his daughter's favorite books. After a week of messaging, Michael found himself looking forward to their evening conversations more than he cared to admit. It felt like talking to an old friend, comfortable, unguarded, refreshingly sincere. We should meet, he typed it one evening, surprising himself with his boldness. Coffee or dinner sometime this week? Her response came quickly. Dinner sounds wonderful. Thursday at Rosalie's on 9th Street, 7 p.m. Michael confirmed before realizing Thursday was when Mrs. Jenkins visited her sister in New Jersey. He'd need to find a sitter or reschedule. The thought of postponing made his stomach sink. After 3 years of putting everything else first, couldn't he have just one evening for himself? An idea formed. Reckless perhaps, but suddenly appealing. The twins were well-behaved in restaurants. He could take them along and explain to Olivia, and if the chemistry wasn't there in person, no harm done. If it was, well, she'd be meeting an important part of his life sooner rather than later. Thursday arrived with unexpected complications. Catherine had scheduled back-to-back meetings, the twins' regular babysitter canceled due to illness, and the quarterly reports needed his signature before the morning. By the time Michael left the office, he was running late and still needed to pick up the girls from their after-school program. Daddy, why are we going to a restaurant? Lily bounced in her car seat as Michael navigated through evening traffic in his driver's Honda Civic, borrowed for the occasion to maintain his cover story. Daddy's meeting a friend for dinner, and you two get to come along. He adjusted the rearview mirror to see their excited faces. Remember our talk about using indoor voices and best manners? Is your friend a princess? Lucy clutched her favorite stuffed rabbit. Or a superhero? She's a librarian. She works with books and children like you. Will she read us stories? Lily's eyes widened. Maybe someday. Michael parked near the restaurant, a modestly priced Italian place he'd chosen for its casual atmosphere. But tonight, we're just having dinner and getting to know each other. As he helped the girls from the car, his phone buzzed with a message. His stomach dropped as he read Olivia's text. Just found out who you are. Sorry can't date it, a broke dad of two. Good luck. Michael stared at the screen confused. Had she somehow discovered his real identity? But then she'd know he wasn't broke. Before he could puzzle it out, Lucy tugged his hand. I'm hungry, Daddy. Can we still have spaghetti? He looked at their hopeful faces and couldn't bear to disappoint them. Of course, Princess. Let's go in anyway. Rosalie's was warm and inviting with checkered tablecloths and the scent of garlic and tomato sauce in the air. The hostess raised an eyebrow when Michael approached with a twin on each hand. You brought your kids to a date, she whispered, glancing at her reservation book. It's not really a date anymore. Michael adjusted Lily on his hip. Table for 3, please. You're in luck. Only one reservation with children tonight. Table 5. She gestured toward a window seat. Michael settled the twins into booster seats, helping them with their crayons and paper placemats. Lucy immediately began scribbling with a green marker, while Lily organized her crayons by color. He was about to order apple juice when the front door opened and a woman with golden hair stepped inside. She paused at the entrance, checking her phone before scanning the restaurant. Her gaze landed on their table, and to Michael's surprise, she walked directly toward them, a warm smile lighting her face. Hi, I'm Olivia. She extended her hand, slightly breathless. Sorry I'm late. The bus was running behind schedule. Michael stood momentarily speechless. The woman before him matched the profile photo, but was even more striking in person. Honey blonde hair falling in soft waves to her shoulders, intelligent hazel eyes, and a genuine smile that reached those eyes. She wore a simple blue blouse and jeans, a tote bag slung over one shoulder, and a paperback novel in hand. I'm me, Michael. He caught himself almost giving his real name. These are my daughters, Lily and Lucy. I didn't realize I'd be dining with such esteemed company. Olivia sat across from him, placing her book and bag on the empty chair beside her. Her focus immediately went to the twins. Are those some serious art projects happening here? Lucy held up her scribbled green mess. It's a dragon eating ice cream. Clearly artistic genius. Olivia nodded solemnly. I love the way you've captured the dragon's expression mid-ice cream brain freeze. Lucy giggled, delighted by this interpretation of her scribbles. Do you like cats? Lily asked, studying Olivia with careful consideration. More than I like most people. Olivia leaned in conspiratorially. Lily slid a purple crayon across the table. Draw one. Without hesitation, Olivia picked up a napkin and began sketching. Her hands moved with confident strokes, creating a whimsical cat with oversized whiskers and a slightly crooked smile. The twins watched, mesmerized, as she added colorful details. It's perfect. Lily's voice held reverent awe. Not quite. Olivia handed her the purple crayon. Artists always sign their work. Want to add your name? As Lily carefully wrote her name beside Olivia's drawing, Michael observed the easy interaction with a mixture of surprise and something that felt dangerously like hope. He'd expected awkwardness, explanations, perhaps even disappointment at his bringing children to what should have been a first date. Instead, Olivia was treating the situation as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I hope you don't mind them joining us, he finally said. My regular sitter canceled last minute. Olivia looked up, her expression warm. Kids are my favorite people. Honestly, they're a bonus. The waiter arrived to take their order, and chaos ensued as the twins debated between spaghetti and pizza. Olivia jumped in, suggesting they could share both, which was met with enthusiastic approval. She ordered a simple pasta primavera for herself, waving away the wine list. I'm more of a chocolate milk person anyway. She winked at the girls, who immediately changed their juice orders to chocolate milk. You're good with them, Michael observed as the waiter left. Professional experience or natural talent? Both, I suppose. I run the children's reading program at my library, story time 3 days a week, plus special events. Olivia helped Lucy straighten her napkin. There's something refreshingly honest about kids. Adults have too many filters. What made you become a librarian? A soft smile played across her lips. I grew up in a house where money was tight, but we had books stacked in every corner, on every shelf, even on the floor. My mom used to read to me every night by candlelight when the power went out, which was fairly often. Her eyes grew distant with memory. Books made me feel rich, even when we had nothing else. There was no self-pity in her voice, no bitterness about past struggles, just quiet appreciation for what she'd been given. It struck Michael deeply. He'd become so accustomed to people angling for what he could provide, connections, opportunities, status, that Olivia's contentment with her modest life seemed almost foreign. Dinner arrived in a flurry of plates and napkins. Lily immediately dropped a meatball on the table, while Lucy somehow managed to get tomato sauce in her hair within seconds. Michael reached for extra napkins, apologizing for the mess. Olivia laughed, helping Emma wipe sauce from her chin. You think this is messy? Last week during story time, a 3-year-old dumped an entire juice box on our new carpet, then tried to clean it up with pages from Goodnight Moon. This is nothing. She shared a story about how she once slipped and fell face first into a birthday cake at a library event, sending the twins into fits of giggles. Michael found himself laughing too harder than he had in years. Something warm and unfamiliar stirred in his chest as he watched Olivia engage with his daughters, drawing them out of their usual shyness with ease. What about you? Olivia turned her attention back to him. Project management seems like it could be interesting or soul-crushing, depending on the projects. Michael hesitated, the fabricated backstory momentarily escaping him. It has its moments, mostly corporate contracts, nothing exciting. Do you enjoy it? The directness of her question caught him off guard. When was the last time anyone had asked if he enjoyed his work? As CEO, it was assumed he loved the power, the success, the wealth his position provided. Parts of it, I like solving problems, bringing the right people together to create something new. This much was true even if the context was manufactured. But some days it feels like endless meetings about things that don't really matter. Olivia nodded. I get that. Even dream jobs have their paperwork and politics. The conversation flowed naturally after that. They discovered shared tastes in books and films, a mutual dislike of social media, and a common belief that experiences mattered more than possessions. Michael found himself speaking honestly about his struggles as a single parent, carefully omitting details that might reveal his identity. It's hard to know if I'm doing it right. He watched the twins collaborating on another napkin masterpiece. Their mother was so much better at the emotional stuff. I worry they're missing out. All parents worry about that. Olivia's voice was gentle. But from what I can see, you're doing just fine. They're happy, polite, creative little humans. That doesn't happen by accident. A server came by and placed the check on the table mid-meal. Take your time, he said politely. Dessert's next. Michael stared at the leather-bound folder. His hand moved to his back pocket, then froze. This wasn't his usual suit with his wallet. These were borrowed jeans from his driver, and he suddenly realized he hadn't transferred his wallet or cash. For the first time in decades, Michael Sullivan couldn't pay a restaurant bill. Panic flared in his chest. He could call Catherine, have her arrange something, but that would mean revealing his charade. He could ask the restaurant to hold his watch as collateral. But how would that look to Olivia? A supposed broke dad with a $10,000 watch. Olivia noticed his hesitation. Without drawing attention, she simply pulled out her worn leather wallet, slid out a card, and handed it to the server with a soft smile. It's fine, she said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. I've had worse dinner dates. Michael turned to her, stunned. You didn't have to do that. I know. She met his eyes directly, but I wanted to. You looked like you needed someone to just be kind. The simple gesture left him speechless. It wasn't about the money. He could buy the entire restaurant if he wanted to. But in that moment, it was about the way she saw him. Not Michael Sullivan of business magazine covers and shareholder meetings, but a father fumbling with booster seats and juice boxes. A man who was trying. He looked at her. Really looked. She had soft lines of weariness around her eyes, probably from too many late nights, with books, not parties. Her blouse was simple, her nails unpolished. She wasn't trying to impress. She was just there, present humankind. The restaurant began to thin out, but their table stayed warm with laughter and crayon drawings. Olivia reached for a breadstick and broke it in half, offering one to Lily, while continuing a story about her childhood. My mom was a high school English teacher. She could quote Shakespeare while making macaroni and cheese, which was pretty much our standard Tuesday dinner. Olivia smiled at the memory. She'd say, to eat or not to eat, that is the question every time I complained about vegetables. Where is she now? Michael asked. She passed away 5 years ago. Cancer. Olivia's expression held sadness, but not bitterness. She packed a lot of living into her 58 years, though. Taught me that it's not about how much time you have, but what you do with it. Michael felt a connection that went beyond first date politeness. They'd both lost someone irreplaceable. They'd both had to redefine their lives afterward. The girls lost their mother 3 years ago, he said quietly. Car accident. Olivia's hand moved across the table, stopping just short of touching his. I'm so sorry. That must have been devastating for all of you. Some days are still hard. Michael watched as Lucy yawned, leaning against her sister. But we're finding our way. When dessert was finished, chocolate cake for the twins, tiramisu shared between the adults, Michael offered to walk Olivia to her bus stop or give her a ride home. It's not a fancy car, he said with a wry smile, but it gets from point A to point B. Olivia hesitated, glancing out the window. It's okay. I like the walk. Helps me clear my head. He tried not to look disappointed. Of course. She gave a little wave to the girls, bent to kiss Lily on the forehead. Thanks for the cat drawing lesson, artist. Come draw again, Lucy called sleepily. Olivia's smile lingered. Maybe. And then she turned and walked into the night, her tote bag swinging gently against her hip, leaving behind napkin art and the lingering scent of vanilla perfume. Michael drove in silence, the twins already dozing in their car seats, their hands still smudged with crayon. A single piece of napkin art fluttered from the dashboard, a scribbled picture of a cat with too many whiskers and the words Olivia plus Lily in crooked letters. He stared at it when he parked in his garage, heart tightening. His mind drifted backward to a different night long ago, when Rebecca had sat on the kitchen floor with the girls drawing farm animals with washable markers on old newspapers. Her laughter had filled the room the same way Olivia's had tonight. That memory had haunted him, making every new connection feel like betrayal. But tonight, watching Olivia with the girls, hearing her laugh as orange juice soaked her sleeve, he had felt peace. Not guilt, not fear, just the quiet sense that maybe, just maybe healing wasn't betrayal. Maybe it was permission to keep going, to begin again. He looked at the drawing one more time, then folded it gently and placed it in his pocket. A fragile hope settled in his chest. The penthouse was quiet when they returned, Mrs. Jenkins having left a note about tomorrow's schedule. Michael carried the sleeping twins to their room, carefully changing them into pajamas without waking them. As he tucked the blankets around them, Lucy stirred slightly. Daddy, her voice was thick with sleep. Miss Olivia is nice. She draws good cats. Yes, she does. Michael smoothed her hair. Did you have fun tonight? Mm-hmm. Lucy's eyes drifted closed again. Can we see her tomorrow? The innocent question caught him off guard. The girls rarely connected with adults outside their small circle. We'll see her again soon, Princess. Sleep tight now. Michael retreated to his study, pouring a small glass of scotch and settling into his leather chair. He pulled out his phone, staring at the Heart Match app. Should he message Olivia tonight or wait until tomorrow? Would she think he was too eager or not interested enough? He felt like a teenager again, overthinking every interaction. Finally, he typed, "Thank you for tonight. The girls haven't stopped talking about you. I'd like to see you again, if you're interested." He hit send before he could second-guess himself, then set the phone down, not expecting a response until morning. To his surprise, it buzzed almost immediately. "I had a wonderful time. Your daughters are amazing little humans. I'd love to see all of you again." Michael smiled, a relief washing over him. Then he noticed she'd added a PS. "I work at the library near Pine Street, the one with the red doors. Stop by sometime if you're in the neighborhood." An invitation. A next step. Michael saved the message, finished his scotch, and for the first time in years, fell asleep without the weight of loneliness pressing down on his chest. 4 days passed, each filled with the usual demands of running a global technology company, but Michael's thoughts kept returning to the dinner with Olivia. The way she'd laughed, the ease with which she'd connected with the twins, the simple kindness of paying the bill without making him feel small. "You seem different this week," Catherine observed as she delivered his afternoon coffee. "More focused." "Do I?" Michael signed the last of the contracts before him. You're smiling. It's unsettling the board members. Her tone was teasing. The heart match experiment was successful. I take it. Michael considered his response carefully. It was illuminating. Care to elaborate? Not particularly, but his expression gave him away. Catherine's eyebrows rose slightly. Well, whatever, or whoever, is responsible for this change, I approve. You've cleared your inbox for the first time in months. Friday afternoon, Michael made a decision. He canceled his last two meetings, arranged for his driver to pick up the twins early from school, and changed into the most casual clothes he kept at the office, dark jeans and a navy sweater that Rebecca had given him years ago. Daddy, where are we going? Lily asked as they climbed into the back of his SUV. Remember Miss Olivia from the restaurant? She works at a library. I thought we might surprise her, Mama. The twins' faces lit up with excitement. Will she draw more cats? Lucy bounced in her seat. Maybe, but remember she's working, so we need to be on our best behavior. The library near Pine Street was easy to find. A century-old stone building with the promised red doors. Inside, the scent of old pages and wood polish wrapped around them like a familiar blanket. Sunlight streamed through stained glass windows, casting rainbow patterns across the worn wooden floors. The main desk was staffed by an older woman with silver-rimmed glasses who directed them to the children's section in the back. Story time just started about 5 minutes ago, she whispered. You can slip in quietly. They followed the sound of an animated voice to a corner where children sat cross-legged in a circle, clustered around a woman in a soft cardigan, a worn picture book in her lap. Olivia's voice rose and fell with the story, her expression changing with each character. And then the bear said, "Who took my hat?" She growled dramatically, making the children giggle. That's her, Lily gasped. She's here, Lucy clapped. Before Michael could stop them, the twins raced forward, squeezing between the other children to get closer to Olivia. She paused mid-sentence, startled, and then slowly looked up. Her eyes widened as she saw Michael standing at the entrance, hands in his jacket pockets, shoulders tense. Hi, he said softly. She closed the book. Everyone will take a quick break. 5 minutes, okay? The children groaned but dispersed toward the beanbags and toy bins. Olivia stood smoothing her skirt as she approached Michael. You found me. Michael nodded. I remembered what you said about the red doors. The silence that followed was thick, not hostile, but uncertain. Lily held up a folded piece of paper, breaking the tension. We made you another drawing. Olivia took it with a soft smile. Thank you, sweetie. She unfolded it carefully. A purple cat surrounded by hearts. This is beautiful. Her gaze shifted back to Michael. You were not the man I was supposed to meet that night. No, he admitted. You were meeting someone else. Olivia crossed her arms. Then why did you let me believe you were my date? Michael inhaled slowly, gathering his thoughts. All the practiced explanations he'd rehearsed on the drive over suddenly seemed inadequate. Because I couldn't walk away. Not when someone finally saw me. He met her eyes directly. Not the successful businessman or the guy with the corner office, just me. The dad trying to keep it together, the man who misses his wife, the man who needed a night that didn't feel like a transaction. Olivia's lips parted slightly. Her expression was unreadable. I didn't lie about who I am, he continued quickly. I just didn't correct the assumption because for once, someone wasn't looking at me through a lens of expectations or judgments. You sat down and listened to my daughters. You paid the bill without flinching. You laughed when things got messy. Her eyes softened but didn't drop. He stepped a little closer. My name is Michael Sullivan. I run Sullivan Technologies, not a project management team. I own too many suits and live in a penthouse that's too big for 3 people, and most of the time I hate it. The words tumbled out now, honest and unfiltered. But the other night I didn't feel like any of that mattered because of you. Olivia swallowed, glancing at the twins who were now exploring a bookshelf nearby. So, she said quietly, what now? I don't know, he answered honestly. I just knew I couldn't let you disappear without telling you the truth. Not because I think it'll change anything, but because you deserve that much. She looked down at the cat drawing in her hand with its pink heart and the words, for Olivia, scribbled in black crayon. What I saw that night, she murmured, was real. The way you looked at them, the way they looked at you, the way you watched me like you were seeing something that scared you. That wasn't fake. It wasn't, he agreed. She met his eyes again. But I need time to figure out what's real when everything else around you feels complicated. He nodded. Take all the time you need. A long pause hung between them. Not goodbye, not yet. And that, for the first time in years, felt like enough. One of the children from the story circle approached Olivia, tugging at her cardigan. Miss Olivia, are we going to finish the bear story? Olivia smiled down at the little boy. Yes, we are. Just one more minute. She turned back to Michael and the twins. I have to get back to work. Of course. Michael reached for the girl's hands. We've interrupted enough. Will we see you again? Lucy asked, her small face serious. Olivia knelt to the child's level. I'm here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for story time. 3 o'clock. Lucy's expression brightened. We can come back on Monday. You're welcome anytime. Olivia stood, her eyes meeting Michael's over the twins' heads. Something unspoken passed between them. Not promise, not certainty, but possibility. And for now, that was enough. As they left the library, stepping through the red doors into the autumn sunshine, Lily looked up at her father. Daddy, why was Miss Olivia surprised to see us? Michael considered how to explain the complexities of adult relationships to a 5-year-old. Sometimes grown-ups need time to get to know each other, princess, just like when you meet a new friend at school. But we already know her, Lucy reasoned. She draws cats and pays for spaghetti. That's just the beginning of knowing someone. Michael helped them into the car. There's a lot more to learn. Like what? Lily buckled her seatbelt. Like her favorite color, or what makes her laugh, or what book she loves to read. I bet she likes purple, Lucy declared, because she didn't say the purple cat was wrong. Michael smiled at his daughter's logic. Maybe you're right. That evening, after the twins were asleep, Michael stood on his penthouse balcony watching the city lights below. His phone buzzed with a text message. The children's reading program is at 3 p.m. on Monday. They're welcome to join. Olivia, simple, direct, but not closed off. Michael typed back, we'll be there, thank you. He slipped the phone back into his pocket, a sense of anticipation warming him, despite the cool evening air. Monday was 3 days away. 3 days to figure out how to navigate this new territory, how to balance his responsibilities with this fragile possibility of connection. His phone buzzed again with a work email. Crisis with the Tokyo Deal emergency board meeting called for tomorrow. The real world intruding, as it always did. Michael sighed, opening his laptop to review the files. But as he worked late into the night, his mind kept drifting to red doors, purple cats, and the possibility of something real in a world that had felt hollow for far too long. Monday afternoon brought golden October sunshine streaming through the library's stained glass windows, painting rainbow patterns across the wooden floor. Olivia arranged colorful pillows in a circle as children began arriving for the 3 o'clock story time, her mind drifting to the complications of seeing Michael and the twins again. The truth about his identity had been surprising, but not nearly as surprising as her own reaction. Not anger at the deception, but fear of what it might mean to let someone like him into her carefully constructed life. At precisely 2:55, the library's red doors swung open. Michael entered with Lily and Lucy, each girl clutching a book to her chest. They wore matching blue dresses with white cardigans, hair pulled back with ribbon headbands. Michael had dressed down in khakis and a light blue button-down shirt, though Olivia suspected even his casual clothes cost more than her monthly rent. The twins spotted her immediately, breaking free from their father's hands to race toward her across the reading room. Miss Olivia, we brought our favorite books. Lucy thrust a well-loved copy of Where the Wild Things Are toward her. And we made you something, Lily added, producing a folded piece of construction paper from behind her back. Olivia knelt to their level, accepting both offerings with genuine delight. The construction paper unfolded to reveal a family of purple cats, a large one, and 2 small ones standing beside what appeared to be a bookshelf. That's you, Lucy pointed to the large cat reading us stories. The gesture touched something deep in Olivia's heart. She glanced up to find Michael watching from a respectful distance, hands in his pockets, his expression a mixture of apology and hope. It's beautiful. I'll put it up right here on our special art wall. Olivia stood pinning the drawing alongside other children's artwork. Other families began arriving for story time, filling the circle of pillows with excited children. Michael guided the twins to open spots, then retreated to the adult seating area at the perimeter. Unlike the other parents who immediately pulled out phones or tablets, he watched attentively, as Olivia began the session. The half hour passed in a blur of colorful illustrations and children's laughter. Olivia found herself occasionally glancing toward Michael, catching his eyes on her more than once. There was something disarming about the way he looked at her, not with the entitled assessment she'd experienced from wealthy men before, but with genuine interest and a hint of vulnerability that seemed at odds with his public persona. When story time concluded, the twins lingered near Olivia, helping her collect the pillows. Daddy says we should always clean up our messes. Lily arranged the pillows with careful precision. That's very good advice. He also said we should ask before we invite you for ice cream. Lucy added, her expression serious. So can we invite you for ice cream? Olivia bit back a laugh at the directness of the question. She glanced toward Michael, who was approaching, with a slightly embarrassed expression. I may have mentioned ice cream was a possibility after the library, he explained. They've been talking about it all weekend. Well, since you asked so nicely. Olivia checked her watch. My shift ends in 20 minutes. The small ice cream parlor was a neighborhood institution with hand-painted murals and a chalkboard menu of both traditional and experimental flavors. The twins selected strawberry and chocolate chip, while Michael chose vanilla and Olivia opted for mint chocolate chip. They settled at a corner table by the window, sunshine warming the wooden surface between them. The twins immediately launched into elaborate stories about their school projects, speaking over each other in their enthusiasm. Girls, one at a time, please. Michael's gentle reminder brought momentary order. I'm sorry about ambushing you at work the other day, he said quietly while the girls were distracted by their ice cream. I should have called first. It's fine, the library is a public place. Olivia stirred her melting ice cream, though I admit I was surprised. Because of who I am or because I showed up at all? Both, I suppose. Olivia met his gaze directly. I've had my share of disappointments with people who aren't what they seem. That's fair, Michael nodded. For what it's worth, everything else I told you was true. About the girls, about losing their mother, about struggling to find my way as a single parent. The sincerity in his voice was difficult to dismiss. Olivia studied his face, the lines at the corners of his eyes that spoke of both laughter and stress, the slight furrow between his brows that suggested he carried more weight than he showed. Daddy, can we go to the park after? Lily interrupted, ice cream smeared across her cheek. That depends on Miss Olivia. She might have other plans. All three pairs of eyes turned to her expectantly. Olivia found herself wavering. I suppose a little sunshine wouldn't hurt. The words escaped before she could reconsider. At the park, while the twins raced toward the playground, Michael and Olivia found a bench with a clear view of the swings and slides. They haven't been this excited about anything in a long time, Michael observed as Lucy performed a precarious balancing act on a low beam. Children are resilient, but they still feel losses deeply. Olivia watched Lily help a smaller child climb the ladder to the slide. How long has it been since their mother passed? 3 years, 2 months, and 14 days. The precision of his answer revealed the wound was still fresh. Rebecca was taking the girls to visit her parents when another driver crossed the center line. She died instantly. The twins were in the back seat, completely unharmed, physically. I'm so sorry. Olivia's heart ached for the traumatic loss. The first year I was just trying to keep us all functioning. Work became my escape. The girls had nightmares of separation anxiety. We tried 3 different nannies before finding Mrs. Jenkins, our housekeeper, who's become like family. Michael stared at his hands. The second year was marginally better. This third year, I finally realized we were surviving, but not living. That's why you created the dating profile. Michael nodded. My assistant suggested it might be time to stop hiding behind work. I was skeptical, but she had a point. The girls need more than I alone can give them. You said you didn't mention your position or wealth. Why, Mom? Because every relationship I've attempted since becoming CEO has started with an imbalance. People see the resources, the connections, the lifestyle before they see me. A shadow crossed his face. The last woman I dated spent our entire second dinner discussing which vacation properties we should consider purchasing together. Despite herself, Olivia laughed. Bold strategy. It was enlightening if not romantic. Michael's smile reached his eyes. When you sat down at that table, and immediately engaged with the girls when you didn't ask a single question about my career or income, when you paid the bill without hesitation. It was refreshing. It felt real. Before she could respond, Lucy came running over breathless with excitement about a dog training group practicing nearby. They spent the next hour watching the twins give simple commands to a patient golden retriever, the afternoon stretching into a comfortable rhythm. None of them seemed eager to break. One Wednesday afternoon, Michael arrived at the library alone, his expression apologetic. The girls have a dentist appointments I couldn't reschedule. Disappointment flickered across Olivia's face before she could mask it. Of course, they should take care of their teeth. I was hoping maybe we could have coffee, just the two of us. He shifted slightly, revealing an uncharacteristic nervousness. Unless that would be uncomfortable for you. The question caught her off guard. Their interactions had always included the buffer of the twins' presence, making everything simultaneously easier and more complex. Time alone with Michael meant confronting the growing attraction she'd been carefully avoiding acknowledging. Coffee would be nice. She surprised herself with the answer. The cafe was quiet in the mid-afternoon lull. They claimed a corner table near a window, overlooking a small courtyard where crimson and gold leaves drifted from a Japanese maple. It's strange being out without the constant commentary of 5-year-olds, Michael observed, stirring his Americano. Quieter, certainly. Olivia wrapped her hands around her mug, though I miss hearing about Lucy's latest dragon theories. She's working on a comprehensive classification system. Apparently, there are 17 distinct types categorized by color number of heads and whether they prefer gold or princesses. Olivia laughed, the sound bright in the hushed cafe. She has quite the imagination. Their conversation flowed naturally, moving from the twins to books they'd enjoyed, films that had disappointed them, and places they hoped to visit someday. Michael spoke of his childhood in Boston, raised by a single mother who worked as a nurse. Olivia shared stories of her college years, working 3 jobs to afford tuition while still graduating with honors in library science. I've been meaning to ask, Michael said, as they finished their coffee. Would you be interested in coming to dinner this weekend? At my mother's cottage, not the penthouse. The girls have been begging to show you their book collection there. Olivia hesitated. Dinner at his home represented another step toward something she wasn't sure she was ready for. It's just a simple dinner. I make a decent spaghetti. His expression remained open without pressure. Saturday at 6, you can drive yourself if that makes you more comfortable. All right. She found herself agreeing despite her reservations. Saturday evening found Olivia driving her aging Honda Civic through a charming neighborhood of modest homes with well-tended gardens. Michael's directions led her to a small cottage, set back from the road, its stone exterior partially covered with climbing ivy, turning crimson in the autumn chill. A porch wrapped around the front, complete with a swing and wind chimes tinkling in the gentle breeze. This was not the residence she would have associated with a CEO worth billions. As Olivia parked, the front door burst open and the twins raced down the path to greet her. Miss Olivia, you came? Lucy grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the house. Daddy's cooking, and he has sauce on his shirt already, Lily informed her solemnly. Michael appeared in the doorway wearing jeans and a faded Harvard t-shirt partially covered by an apron, declaring, "Kiss the cook." A splash of red sauce stained the fabric, his hair slightly disheveled, his expression sheepish. I see my sous chefs have abandoned their posts to greet you. The cottage interior was cozy and lived in, with mismatched furniture that spoke of comfort rather than design. Family photos lined the walls and bookshelves filled every available wall space. This was my mother's house, Michael explained. She left it to me when she passed 8 years ago. I couldn't bear to sell it, so we come here on weekends when we need a break from everything else. The gallery in the living room proved to be a collection of children's artwork taped to every available wall space. Crayon masterpieces depicted everything from dragons to family portraits to abstract explosions of color. We saved a special place for your picture. Lily pointed proudly to the center wall where the purple family drawing was displayed prominently. I'm honored. Olivia's throat tightened unexpectedly. Dinner preparation became a cheerful chaos of small, helping hands and splashing sauce. Olivia took over salad duty while Michael managed the pasta and garlic bread. Is this your mom? Olivia asked quietly, noticing a photo on the refrigerator of a woman with Michael's smile holding infant twins. No, that's Rebecca. Michael's voice softened. My mother took that picture the day we brought the girls home from the hospital. She was beautiful. She was extraordinary. Brilliant researcher, devoted mother, terrible cook. His smile held both fondness and sadness. She would have liked you. The simple statement carried weight that Olivia wasn't ready to examine. Dinner itself was a lively affair. The spaghetti was surprisingly good, the garlic bread slightly burnt on one edge, but delicious nonetheless. The twins dominated the conversation with elaborate tales from school. And then Jeremy said his dad has a helicopter, but I said my daddy has a bigger one, Lucy announced between bites. Michael's fork paused midway to his mouth. Lucy, we've talked about this. We don't compare what people have. But Jeremy always says his things are the biggest and best. It doesn't matter what Jeremy says. What matters is how we behave. Michael's tone was gentle but firm. Remember what we talked about. True wealth isn't about what you own. Lucy nodded solemnly. It's about who you love and how you help others. Exactly. Michael glanced at Olivia, clearly hoping she understood he wasn't raising entitled children despite their privileged circumstances. After dinner, the twins insisted on showing Olivia their bedroom, a charming space with twin beds covered in colorful quilts and bookshelves overflowing with children's literature. While the girls selected stories for bedtime, Michael cleared the dinner dishes. Olivia joined him in the kitchen, picking up a dish towel to dry as he washed. This place is lovely, so different from what I imagined. What did you imagine? Gold faucets and marble countertops. His tone was teasing rather than defensive. Something less homey. She arranged clean plates in the cabinet, he indicated. Less you, I suppose. This is the real me, when I'm not being chased by shareholders or answering questions about quarterly projections. Michael handed her a freshly washed glass. The penthouse came with the job. This is home. The girls seem comfortable here. They are. They can be children here, not heirs to the Sullivan fortune. A shadow crossed his face. That's what I want for them, a childhood focused on books and imagination and skinned knees, not privilege and expectations. Olivia nodded, understanding his concern. It can't be easy balancing those worlds. It's not, but nothing worth doing ever is. His hands stilled in the soapy water. Olivia, I need to... Daddy, we're ready for stories. Lily's voice interrupted whatever he had been about to say. The bedtime routine was clearly well established. What surprised Olivia was being invited to participate, Lucy insisting she read the second story while Michael handled the first and third. You do the best voices, Lucy explained, snuggling into her blankets. As Olivia read about a brave mouse on an adventure, she felt Michael watching her from the doorway, his expression soft in the lamplight. There was something intimate about participating in this family ritual, something that both warmed and frightened her with its potential implications. When the twins were finally settled, Michael led Olivia back to the living room. He poured 2 glasses of wine and they settled on the porch swing, a comfortable silence stretching between them as wind chimes tinkled softly in the evening breeze. Thank you for coming tonight. Michael spoke first, his voice low. It meant a lot to the girls and to me. I had a wonderful time. You have a beautiful family. Olivia sipped her wine, gathering courage. Michael, I need to be honest with you. He turned toward her, expression open but guarded. Please do. I'm drawn to you, to all 3 of you, more than I expected to be, but I'm also scared. The admission cost her something to voice. My life is simple and stable. Yours is not. No, it's not, he agreed. It's complicated and public and sometimes overwhelming. But that doesn't mean it can't also contain simple joys and quiet moments. The worlds we come from are so different. They are, but maybe that's our strength, not our weakness. Michael set his wine glass on the small table beside them. You see things I miss. I can offer perspectives you might not have considered. Together we might have a more complete picture. The sincerity in his voice was difficult to dismiss. Olivia found herself wanting to believe that differences in background and circumstances could be bridged by mutual respect and genuine connection. I've never wanted a complicated life, she admitted. After my childhood, stability became my religion. I understand that, and I respect it. Michael's voice was gentle. I'm not asking you to upend your life or change who you are. I'm just asking for a chance to see where this might lead, however slowly you need to take it. Before Olivia could respond, her phone chimed with a text message. She glanced at it automatically, then froze at the name on the screen. I'm sorry, I need to take this. She stepped off the porch, answering quickly. Dad, is everything okay? The conversation was brief but tense. When she returned to the porch, her expression had hardened into careful neutrality. I need to go. My father, he needs money again. The admission tasted bitter. He only calls when he wants something. Michael stood, concern evident in his face. Is there anything I can do? No, this is my problem to handle. Olivia gathered her purse and jacket. I'm sorry to cut the evening short. Don't apologize. Family complications, I understand completely. Michael walked her to her car, respecting her obvious desire for space. Drive safely, and Olivia. Whatever you decide about us, the door is always open. She nodded, unable to trust her voice, and drove away with her emotions in tumult. 3 days passed without contact. Olivia threw herself into work organizing a special Halloween reading program and avoiding thoughts of Michael and the twins. Her father's request had triggered old wounds, memories of broken promises of watching her mother work multiple jobs to compensate for his abandonment, of the shame that came with his occasional reappearances, always centered around his needs rather than hers. Wednesday afternoon arrived, and with it, story time. Olivia found herself glancing at the library entrance every few minutes, simultaneously hoping for and dreading the sight of Michael and the twins. When 3 o'clock came and went without their appearance, disappointment settled heavy in her chest. At 5 minutes past 3, just as she was beginning the first story, the red door swung open. Michael entered alone, looking slightly harried as he slipped into a seat at the back. He offered a small wave but didn't interrupt. After the children dispersed to activity stations, he approached her reading chair. I'm sorry we're late. The girls have come down with colds, nothing serious, but enough that Mrs. Jenkins insisted they stay home. They don't need to attend every story time, Olivia assured him, though she missed their enthusiastic presence. They made me promise to come anyway. Apparently there's something urgent you need to receive. Michael reached into his jacket pocket and withdrew a small tissue-wrapped bundle. Their exact instructions were, give this to Miss Olivia and tell her it's magic. Olivia unwrapped the tissue carefully. Inside was a small purple stone worn smooth by water, with a tiny white quartz line running through its center. Lucy found it at the park last week. She's convinced it has magical properties, specifically the ability to make sad go away. Michael's expression was both amused and tender. She was quite insistent you needed it after you looked sad when you left Saturday. The simple gesture from a 5-year-old threatened to unravel Olivia's carefully maintained composure. She closed her fingers around the stone, feeling its cool weight against her palm. That's very thoughtful of her. They miss you. Michael's voice was quiet. I miss you. The direct admission hung between them. Olivia searched for the right response, finding none that adequately captured her conflicted feelings. Would you like to take a walk? She suggested instead. My shift ends in 10 minutes. They strolled through the neighborhood in companionable silence, fallen leaves crunching beneath their feet. The late October afternoon was crisp but pleasant, golden sunlight filtering through half-bare branches. My father wasn't always unreliable, Olivia finally spoke as they reached a small neighborhood park. Before he left, he was the one who read to me every night. He built me bookshelves and filled them with stories. He taught me to love words. Michael listened attentively as they settled on a park bench. When he left, he promised he'd still be part of my life. Weekend visits, holidays, school events. None of it happened. He was too busy with his new life, his new wife, her country club friends. Bitterness colored her voice despite the years that had passed. Every time he reappeared, it was because he needed something. Money, a place to stay, someone to bail him out of trouble. That must have been incredibly painful. It was, still is. Olivia turned the purple stone over in her fingers. My mother never said a negative word about him. She just worked harder, loved me more fiercely, and taught me that we make our own security in this world. She sounds like a remarkable woman. She was. Olivia smiled faintly at the memory. After she died, I swore I'd never allow myself to be vulnerable to that kind of abandonment again. I built my life around stability and independence. And now you're worried that getting involved with me threatens that stability. Michael's perception was accurate. Because of my wealth, my public profile, or both. All of it. The media attention that would inevitably come. The scrutiny, the assumptions people would make. Olivia met his gaze directly. I've seen what happens when ordinary people enter the orbit of the extraordinarily wealthy. They either adapt to that world and lose themselves, or they're eventually discarded. Is that what you think I would do, discard you if you didn't conform? Hurt flickered across his face. Not intentionally, no, but circumstances have a way of dictating outcomes regardless of intentions. Olivia clutched the stone tighter. I like my simple life, Michael. I like knowing exactly who I am and where I stand. And you think being with me would change that? Or wouldn't it? Michael considered her question with the seriousness it deserved. Yes and no. Relationships change us, that's inevitable. But change doesn't have to mean loss of self. A jogger passed by, momentarily interrupting their conversation. When he spoke again, Michael's voice was quieter, more reflective. After Rebecca died, I thought I knew exactly who I was: a widower, a father, a CEO. I had my roles clearly defined. Then I met you, and suddenly those definitions seemed incomplete. His gaze was steady on hers. You made me remember I'm also just a man who can laugh at spilled orange juice and draw terrible cats on napkins. The image brought an involuntary smile to Olivia's lips. They were pretty terrible cats. Dreadful, but the girls loved them. Michael shifted slightly to face her more directly. I'm not asking you to enter my world and conform to it. I'm asking if we might create something new together. Something that honors both who you are and who I am. His words resonated more deeply than Olivia wanted to admit. Before she could respond, her phone rang again, her father's number flashing on the screen. She silenced it with a frustrated gesture. He won't stop calling until I give him what he wants. Which is $3,000 for car repairs. Last time it was bail money. Before that, rent he was behind on. Olivia's voice was tight with suppressed emotion. I don't have it. I'm still paying off my student loans, and the library isn't exactly a high-paying profession. Michael was quiet for a moment. Would you allow me to help? Absolutely not. Her response was immediate and firm. That's exactly the kind of financial imbalance I want to avoid. Fair enough. He respected her boundary without argument. Is there another solution? A payment plan with the mechanic, perhaps? I've suggested several alternatives. He's not interested in solutions that don't involve immediate cash. Olivia stood suddenly restless. I should go. I have bills to sort through and budget adjustments to make. Michael walked her back to the library in thoughtful silence. At her car, he hesitated. The girls are having a small Halloween party at the cottage this Saturday. Nothing elaborate, just 5 or 6 of their school friends, pumpkin carving, and too much candy. They'd love it if you could come. The invitation was clearly extended without pressure, offering connection without expectation. Olivia found herself nodding despite her reservations. I'll try. What time? 3 to 6. Costumes optional but encouraged. His smile was warm. Lucy has informed me that you should dress as a librarian witch who turns bad books into frogs. Olivia laughed despite herself. That's oddly specific. Lucy seldom lacks for imagination. Michael's expression grew more serious. Whatever you decide about us, Olivia, please know that my door is always open to you. No strings, no expectations. Saturday arrived with perfect Halloween weather, crisp air, golden sunshine, and just enough chill to justify hot apple cider. Olivia found herself standing on the cottage porch at precisely 3 o'clock, dressed in a long black skirt, purple sweater, and a witch's hat adorned with tiny book charms she'd crafted from cardboard and glitter. In her hand was a magic wand bookmarker with a tassel of green ribbon. The door flew open before she could knock. Lucy stood there in an elaborate dragon costume, complete with a tail that dragged behind her. Miss Olivia, you came, and you're a book witch. Her delight was palpable as she pulled Olivia inside. The cottage had been transformed with tasteful Halloween decorations. Paper bats hung from the ceiling, miniature pumpkins lined the mantel, and a table of snacks featured ghost-shaped cookies and orange punch. 6 children in various costumes ran through the living room, while 2 mothers chatted near the kitchen doorway. Michael appeared from the back porch carrying a large pumpkin. He wore jeans and a flannel shirt with fake leaves attached to his shoulders and arms, a falling tree, according to the handwritten sign pinned to his chest. His face lit up when he saw Olivia. The book witch has arrived. He set the pumpkin down. Lucy will be thrilled her costume suggestion was implemented. It was too creative to resist. Olivia adjusted her hat. Need any help? Always, we're setting up pumpkin carving on the back porch. The party was everything a children's Halloween celebration should be: chaotic, sugar-fueled, and filled with laughter. Olivia found herself manning the pumpkin carving station, helping small hands create lopsided jack-o'-lanterns with varying degrees of success. The other mothers were friendly without being intrusive, treating her simply as another adult helper. As the afternoon progressed, Olivia found herself relaxing into the domestic scene. There was something comfortable about this version of Michael serving apple cider in mismatched mugs, praising wobbly pumpkin designs, and mediating disputes over who got which Halloween sticker. This wasn't the powerful CEO whose decisions affected global markets. This was simply a father creating memories for his children. The party wound down as parents arrived to collect their costumed offspring. By 6 o'clock, only the twins remained, helping Michael and Olivia clean up with the sporadic enthusiasm of children coming down from a sugar high. "That was awesome," Lucy declared, collapsing dramatically onto the couch, her dragon tail curled around her feet. "The best Halloween party ever." Lily agreed more sedately, removing her fairy wings and placing them carefully on an armchair. "I'm glad you enjoyed it, but now it's time for both dragons and fairies to wash hands and faces before dinner." Michael's gentle direction sent them toward the bathroom with minimal protest. Left alone in the newly quiet living room, Olivia began gathering paper plates and napkins. "They're wonderful children, Michael. You're doing a great job with them." "Thank you. That means more than you know." He folded a paper tablecloth, his movements efficient. "I'm constantly second-guessing myself, wondering if I'm making the right choices, if they're happy, if they're turning out okay despite everything. From what I can see, they're thriving. They're kind, imaginative, and secure in your love." Olivia placed discarded craft supplies in a bin. "That's what matters most." Their hands brushed as they both reached for the same piece of fallen decoration. Michael's fingers lingered against hers for a moment longer than necessary, the simple contact sending warmth up her arm. "Would you stay for dinner? Nothing fancy, just pizza and whatever Halloween candy the girls haven't devoured." His invitation was casual, without pressure. Olivia should have said no, should have maintained the boundaries she'd so carefully established. Instead, she heard herself agreeing. "Pizza sounds perfect." The evening settled into comfortable domesticity. They ordered delivery, ate at the kitchen table, and listened to the twins recount their favorite moments from the party with increasing embellishments. After dinner, Michael suggested a Halloween movie appropriate for 5-year-olds, and they all piled onto the living room couch with blankets and the last of the popcorn. Halfway through the film about friendly ghosts, Lucy fell asleep against Olivia's side, her dragon head tilted at an impossible angle. Lily soon followed, curled against her father's chest. The sight of the sleeping children, trusting and peaceful, created an ache of longing in Olivia's chest that she hadn't expected. "I should put them to bed, Michael whispered, carefully shifting Lily in his arms. "I'll help." Olivia gently lifted Lucy, following Michael down the hallway to the twins' bedroom. They worked together silently, removing dragon tails and fairy shoes, tucking blankets around small shoulders. When Olivia smoothed Lily's hair back from her forehead, the little girl stirred slightly. "Stay, Miss Olivia," she murmured, half asleep. "Read another story tomorrow." The simple request caught Olivia off guard. Before she could respond, Lily had drifted back to sleep, her breathing deep and even. In the hallway, Michael touched her arm lightly. "You don't have to address that right now. She probably won't even remember saying it." "But she meant it." Olivia's voice was barely above a whisper. "And that's what scares me, Michael. They're getting attached. I'm getting attached. And what happens when this doesn't work out? Who says it won't?" His question was gentle rather than defensive. Statistics, circumstances, reality. Olivia moved toward the living room, needing space. "People from different worlds rarely make it work long term." "I don't believe that. My parents came from completely different backgrounds. My father was from old Boston money. My mother was a nurse from a working-class family in Chicago. They were married for 27 years until his death. That's the exception, not the rule. Maybe, or maybe it depends on what you value most. Michael stood by the fireplace, hands in his pockets. If status and lifestyle are your priorities, then yes, differences become insurmountable. But if connection, respect, and shared values matter more, then backgrounds become interesting rather than divisive. His perspective challenged her assumptions in ways she hadn't considered. Before she could formulate a response, her phone rang, her father's number appearing yet again. Olivia silenced it with a frustrated gesture. He's relentless. The bitterness in her voice surprised even her. Michael watched her carefully. May I ask you something personal? At this point, why not? Her laugh held little humor. Are you saying no because you don't want to help him, or because you genuinely can't afford to? The question struck at the heart of her conflict. Both. I don't have $3,000 to spare, but even if I did, part of me is tired of enabling his poor choices. He'll never change if someone always bails him out. That's a valid perspective. But he's still my father. And despite everything, I remember who he was before he left the man who built my bookshelves and read me stories. Olivia's voice cracked slightly. I hate that he can still make me feel this way, torn between anger and obligation. Michael was quiet for a long moment, clearly choosing his words carefully. What if there was a third option? Not giving him money directly, but addressing the actual need in a way that doesn't enable destructive patterns. Like what? If his car genuinely needs repairs, perhaps the payment could go directly to the mechanic rather than to him. Michael's suggestion was practical rather than patronizing. Just a thought. Olivia considered the possibility. It offered a middle path she hadn't explored, helping without handing over cash that might be misused. That's actually a good idea. She looked at him with new appreciation. I hadn't thought of that approach. Sunday afternoon found Olivia walking through Robertson Park, scanning the open area for signs of Michael and the twins. She spotted them near a large oak tree, a blanket spread on the ground despite the November chill. The girls waved enthusiastically when they saw her abandoning their game to race toward her. Miss Olivia, you came? Lucy grabbed her hand, pulling her toward their picnic spot. We have hot chocolate in thermoses, Lily informed her seriously, and sandwiches without crust because Lucy says crusts are yucky. Michael stood as they approached, his smile warm. We weren't sure if you'd make it. Neither was I, Olivia admitted, but I wanted to thank you in person for the book. It was incredibly thoughtful. The girls deserve the credit for remembering it was your favorite. Michael gestured to the blanket. Join us. Fair warning, Lucy has strong opinions about the proper ratio of marshmallows to hot chocolate. The afternoon passed pleasantly, despite the cool temperature. As Michael helped the girls launch a dragon kite into the brisk November wind, Olivia watched from the blanket wrapped in a borrowed scarf. There was something deeply appealing about this version of Michael, patient, playful, fully present with his daughters. When the twins tired of kite flying, they returned to the blanket for cookies and more hot chocolate. Lucy curled against Olivia's side, surprisingly subdued after the afternoon's exertions. Are you cold, sweetie? Olivia adjusted the girl's jacket. No, just thinking. Lucy looked up at her with solemn eyes. Miss Olivia, do you like us? The direct question caught Olivia off guard. Of course I do, very much. Then why don't you come see us more? Daddy says we can't ask you because you're busy and have your own life, but Lucy's voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper. I think he misses you when you're not here. He looks at his phone a lot. Michael, overhearing this exchange, looked momentarily mortified. Lucy, remember our talk about personal questions? But it's important, Daddy. Lucy's expression was earnest. If Miss Olivia likes us and we like her, why can't we be together more? The simple logic of a 5-year-old cut through all the adult complications Olivia had been wrestling with. Before she could formulate a response, her phone rang, her father's number appearing on the screen yet again. I'm sorry, I should take this. She stepped away from the blanket, answering with trepidation. Hello. Olivia. Her father's voice sounded different, strained and slightly slurred. I need help. Dad, we've been through this. I can't. No, not money. I'm at Mercy Hospital. They're calling it a minor stroke. His words were halting, difficult. They're releasing me tomorrow, but I need someone to pick me up, sign some papers. Olivia's heart sank. Another manipulation or a genuine medical emergency. With her father, it was impossible to know without verification. Which hospital did you say? Mercy, downtown. His voice faded slightly. Room 412. Please, Livy. When she returned to the picnic blanket, her expression must have betrayed her distress. Michael immediately stood concern evident in his features. Everything okay? My father claims he's in the hospital, had a stroke. Olivia ran a hand through her hair. With him, it's hard to know what's real and what's manipulation. What does your instinct tell you? That I should verify before reacting. She began gathering her things. I'm sorry to cut this short, but I should at least call the hospital, see if he's actually there. Of course, Michael helped the twins pack up their picnic supplies. Is there anything I can do? Olivia hesitated, then shook her head. This is my mess to handle, but thank you for asking. It's not a mess, Olivia, it's family. Complicated, frustrating family, but still family. Michael's voice was gentle. The offer stands if you change your mind. As they walked toward the parking area, Lucy slipped her small hand into Olivia's. When you're done helping, your daddy, will you come back and read us stories? The innocent question landed like a weight on Olivia's chest. I'll try, sweetheart. At her car, Michael stopped her with a light touch on her arm. Let me know if he's really in the hospital. Even just a text, so I know you're okay. The genuine concern in his voice broke through something in Olivia's carefully constructed defenses. Before she could overthink it, she stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him in a brief, fierce hug. Thank you for today, for everything. She pulled back, meeting his surprised gaze. I'll text you later. Mercy Hospital confirmed that Robert Parker had indeed been admitted after suffering what appeared to be a transient ischemic attack, a mini-stroke that served as a warning sign for potentially more serious episodes. Olivia sat in her car in the hospital parking garage processing this information while rain began to spatter against the windshield. Her father hadn't been lying for once. The realization brought a complex mixture of emotions, relief that he was receiving medical care, guilt for assuming the worst, anxiety about what would happen next. He would need follow-up care medication, possibly assistance at home. As his only family, these responsibilities would fall to her regardless of their strained relationship. Olivia rested her forehead against the steering wheel, suddenly overwhelmed. Her carefully ordered life was spinning into chaos from multiple directions, her growing feelings for Michael and the twins, her father's health crisis, her own inner conflict about which path to choose. After a moment, she straightened, reaching for her phone. She had promised to update Michael after all. Her thumb hovered over his contact information, then shifted to type a message she hadn't planned. He's really in the hospital, minor stroke. They're releasing him tomorrow, but he'll need follow-up care. I don't know what to do. He has no one else. Michael's response came quickly. I'm so sorry. Do you want company? I can ask Mrs. Jenkins to stay with the girls. The offer was tempting, having someone steady beside her as she navigated this unwelcome terrain. But Olivia hesitated, not wanting to drag Michael into her family drama. Thank you, but I should handle this alone. I'll visit him tonight, figure out tomorrow's plan. Understood. But Olivia, you don't have to handle everything alone. That's what friends are for. The careful choice of friends rather than any more complicated term didn't escape her notice. Michael was respecting her boundaries while still offering support. The kindness of it made her throat tight with emotion. As she entered the hospital and made her way to room 412, Olivia braced herself for whatever manipulation or guilt trip might await. Instead, she found her father looking smaller and older than she remembered, his normally ruddy complexion, pale against the white hospital sheets. Livy? His eyes brightened when he saw her. You came. Of course I came. She set her purse on a chair, maintaining some distance from the bed. How are you feeling? Like hell. Doctor says I'm lucky. Robert Parker attempted a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Blood pressure through the roof, cholesterol even worse. Apparently I've been a walking time bomb. Olivia listened as he explained the diagnosis, the medication regimen he'd need to follow, the lifestyle changes recommended. When he finished, an awkward silence fell between them. Where are you living, Ma? She finally asked. Renting a room from a buddy in Westside, nothing fancy. He picked at the hospital blanket. But I'm not sure I can manage the stairs after this. The implied request hung in the air. Olivia felt the familiar tightening in her chest, the pull between obligation and self-preservation. I'll help you figure something out. She kept her response deliberately vague. The hospital should have a social worker who can connect you with resources. Yeah, they mentioned that. Disappointment flickered across his face. Listen, Livy, about the money. I wasn't being straight with you. It wasn't for car repairs. I figured that out. It was for gambling debts. I got in over my head again. The admission seemed to cost him something. I'm not proud of it. Olivia absorbed this confession without surprise. It fit the pattern of his past behavior. The desperate calls, the urgency, the refusal of direct payment to service providers. Dad, I want to help you, but I can't keep enabling behaviors that hurt you. The words were difficult but necessary. If you're serious about changing after this health scare, I'll support that however I can. But I won't give you money that disappears into gambling or drinking. To her surprise, he nodded slowly. Fair enough. I probably wouldn't trust me either. A nurse entered to check vitals, interrupting their conversation. When they were alone again, Robert looked at his daughter with an expression she hadn't seen since childhood: vulnerability without manipulation. I know I've been a lousy father, Livy. This, he gestured to the hospital room, might be the universe's way of telling me to get my act together before it's too late. Olivia wanted to believe him. Decades of disappointment made that difficult, but the sincerity in his voice sparked a tiny hope that perhaps this health crisis might become a turning point. I hope so, Dad. I really do. As she left the hospital, the evening sky had darkened to deep indigo streetlights, reflecting in rain puddles. Olivia sat in her car, emotionally drained, yet needing to make decisions about tomorrow. Her father would be discharged in the morning. His room rental had stairs he couldn't manage. He needed somewhere to recuperate, at least temporarily. Her small apartment had barely enough space for her, let alone a recovering patient. She could look into short-term care facilities, but without insurance or savings options would be limited. The practical realities were daunting. Almost without conscious decision, Olivia found herself calling Michael. He answered on the second ring, voice warm with concern. How are you holding up? The simple question and the genuine care behind it broke something loose inside her. Not great. He needs somewhere to stay after discharge tomorrow. His current place has stairs he can't manage, and my apartment is too small. I don't know what to do, and I'm so tired of always having to figure everything out alone. The admission cost her something to voice this acknowledgement of needing help, of not having all the answers. I understand. Michael's voice was steady without judgment. Would it help if I made some calls and serve on the board of a few medical foundations? There might be transitional housing options or home health care resources available. The offer of practical assistance rather than financial bailout was exactly what Olivia needed. That would be incredible if you're sure it's not too much trouble. It's no trouble at all. The warmth in his voice wrapped around her like a blanket. Text me the details and I'll see what I can arrange by morning. As she drove home through the rain-slicked streets, Olivia realized something had shifted within her. For years, she had equated independence with never asking for help, never leaning on anyone. Tonight, she had reached out when she needed support, and the world hadn't ended. Instead, she felt lighter, less alone. Her phone chimed with a text as she entered her apartment. Michael had already identified 3 possible options for her father's recovery care, complete with contact information and admission procedures. The efficiency and thoughtfulness of his response brought tears to her eyes. Thank you, she typed back. This means more than I can express. His reply was simple. That's what people do when they care about each other. Get some rest. Tomorrow will be easier. Olivia fell asleep that night with her father's medical paperwork spread across her coffee table. Michael's text, the last thing she saw before closing her eyes, and the growing realization that perhaps allowing someone into her carefully constructed life wasn't a threat to her independence after all. Perhaps it was simply a different kind of strength, the courage to be vulnerable, to accept help, to let someone else share the burden. Morning light filtered through the blinds of Olivia's apartment as she reviewed the 3 recovery care options Michael had researched. After calling each facility, she settled on Rosewood Transitional Care, a modest rehabilitation center with a sliding fee scale and an opening for her father the very next day. The intake coordinator had been reassuring, explaining their approach to both physical recovery and addiction counseling. By 7 a.m., Olivia was already at Mercy Hospital, signing discharge papers and listening to post-stroke care instructions. Her father sat on the edge of the hospital bed in borrowed sweatpants, looking smaller and more vulnerable than she had ever seen him. Rosewood, his voice still carried a slight slur. Never heard of it. It's a good place, Dad. They'll help with your physical therapy and other issues. Olivia placed his medications in a paper bag. The alternative is my one-bedroom apartment with no elevator and a bathroom too small for a wheelchair. Robert Parker's shoulders slumped in defeat. I know I don't deserve your help. Not after everything. The admission, perhaps the most honest thing he'd said to her in years, caught Olivia off guard. She paused in her packing, unsure how to respond to this unfamiliar version of her father, one without the usual manipulation or charm. This isn't about what you deserve, it's about what you need. She zipped his duffel bag closed. And right now you need professional help that I can't provide. The ambulance transfer to Rosewood was arranged by the hospital. As they waited, Robert reached for Olivia's hand, a gesture so unexpected she nearly pulled away. I keep thinking about your mother, what she'd say if she could see me now. His eyes filled with tears. She always believed I could be better than I was. She did. Olivia allowed his hand to remain on hers, even after everything. Maybe it's not too late, Robert's voice cracked, to try to be the father you deserved. The words hung between them, fragile with possibility, yet weighted with decades of disappointment. Olivia wanted to believe him, wanted to think this health crisis might truly catalyze change, but experience had taught her caution. One day at a time, Dad. That's what they'll tell you at Rosewood, too. After settling her father at the facility and meeting with his care team, Olivia found herself sitting in her car in the parking lot, emotionally drained, yet somehow lighter. She had done what she could, arranged appropriate care, secured a 3-month stay through a combination of county assistance programs and a payment plan she could barely afford. Now the rest was up to him. Her phone buzzed with a text from Michael. How did the transfer go? Are you okay? The simple concern behind those words brought unexpected tears to her eyes. She had handled so many crises alone over the years, convinced that independence meant never needing support. Now having someone simply ask if she was okay felt like a revelation. Transfer went smoothly. Dad settled at Rosewood for at least 3 months. Olivia paused, considering how to describe her emotional state. I'm exhausted but relieved. Thank you for your help. Those resources made all the difference. His response came quickly. I'm glad it worked out. The girls and I are making pancakes if you'd like to join us for a very late breakfast or very early lunch. No pressure, just an open invitation. Olivia stared at the message, conflicting impulses battling within her. Part of her wanted nothing more than the comfort of Michael and the twins' company after the emotional strain of the morning. Another part warned that she was already becoming too dependent on their presence, too accustomed to the warmth they brought into her life. Before she could overthink it, she typed, "Pancakes sound perfect, send me the address." 30 minutes later, Olivia pulled into the driveway of a house she hadn't seen before, neither the downtown penthouse nor the cottage, but a spacious craftsman-style home in a quiet neighborhood of tall trees and well-maintained gardens. Michael had texted that they were at the new place, but she hadn't expected something normal. The front door opened before she reached it, the twins rushing out in matching aprons covered in flour, their excited voices overlapping as they grabbed her hands. Miss Olivia, we made pancakes shaped like animals. Mine's a dragon, but Daddy says it looks like a blob. Michael appeared in the doorway behind them, his own apron splattered with batter, a wooden spoon in one hand. His smile as he watched the twins pull Olivia toward the house carried a warmth that made her breath catch. Sorry about the welcome committee. They've been watching for your car since I mentioned you might join us. He stepped aside to let them enter. Welcome to our new home. Still a work in progress, as you can see. The interior was bright and airy, with moving boxes stacked in corners and furniture arranged in temporary configurations. What struck Olivia most was how unpretentious it felt, comfortable with seating children's artwork already taped to the refrigerator bookshelves, half filled with a mixture of classics and colorful picture books. You moved. Olivia followed him toward the kitchen, the twins racing ahead. When did this happen? We closed on the house last week. The timing felt right. Michael flipped a pancake that indeed resembled a misshapen dragon. The penthouse never really felt like home to the girls, and after spending more time at the cottage, I realized we needed something in between, enough space for them to grow, but still cozy enough to feel like a real home. The kitchen was clearly the heart of the house, spacious, but welcoming, with a large island where the twins had resumed their pancake artistry. A breakfast nook with a window seat overlooked a backyard with an oak tree and a half-assembled swing set. It's lovely. Olivia accepted the cup of coffee Michael offered. But what about the cottage? We're keeping it for weekends. Some places are too special to let go. He helped Lucy pour batter into the shape of what was supposedly a unicorn. Besides, the girls would never forgive me if we sold their gallery space. Breakfast extended into lunchtime as the twins insisted on giving Olivia a tour of the entire house, proudly showing off their new bedrooms, still sparsely furnished, but already personalized with favorite toys and books. The tour concluded in a room that made Olivia stop in the doorway, momentarily speechless. A home library. Not the formal mahogany-paneled variety found in wealthy homes, but a warm, inviting space with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a window seat piled with cushions, and two child-sized reading chairs flanking a larger one. Children's classics mingled with literary fiction, science texts, and colorful picture books. A small wooden sign hung above the doorway, the Parker Sullivan Family Library. Lucy and Lily helped design it, Michael explained, watching Olivia's reaction. They insisted we needed a proper place for story time. It's perfect. Olivia ran her fingers along the spines of books, many of them well-loved editions rather than decorative volumes. I've always dreamed of having a room like this someday. The girls are hoping you'll help us fill the empty shelves. Michael's voice was casual, but his eyes held a question he wasn't directly asking. They have strong opinions about dragon books, but I thought we might need some professional guidance for the rest. The implication wasn't lost on Olivia. This room had been created with her in mind, a space where she might belong in their lives. The gesture was both touching and terrifying in its hopefulness. I'd be happy to help with recommendations. She kept her response deliberately neutral, unwilling to acknowledge the deeper invitation. Every good library needs balance. Michael nodded, accepting her cautious response without pushing. The girls have a play date this afternoon, but maybe you could join us for dinner later this week, Thursday, perhaps. Thursday would be nice. Olivia checked her watch, suddenly needing space to process everything. The new house, the library, the clear signs that Michael was creating a life with room for her in it. I should probably get going. I have some work to prepare for tomorrow. Michael walked her to her car, the twins following with dramatic protests about her leaving so soon. Once they were persuaded to return inside for cleanup duty, Michael turned to Olivia with a more serious expression. I hope the house didn't overwhelm you. I know it might seem like a big change. It's a beautiful home. Olivia chose her words carefully. But yes, it's a lot to take in after the morning I've had. I understand. Michael didn't reach for her, respecting the distance she'd established. How are you really doing with your father, I mean? The genuine concern in his voice broke through her careful composure. I don't know. Part of me wants to believe this health scare will change him. The rest remembers 30 years of broken promises. That's entirely reasonable. Michael leaned against her car, his expression thoughtful. Change is possible, but it's never guaranteed. Exactly, dear. Olivia fiddled with her keys. I've arranged everything I can for him. Now I just have to wait and see if he actually does the work. And in the meantime, you have your own life to live. Michael's gaze was steady on hers. Whatever happens with him doesn't define you, Olivia. The simple truth of his statement struck her deeply. For so long, she had shaped her life in reaction to her father's abandonment, building walls, creating stability, avoiding risk. Her identity had been constructed around not becoming like him, not trusting like her mother, had not being vulnerable to that kind of pain again. Thank you for the pancakes and for understanding about Rosewood. She opened her car door, needing to retreat and process. I'll see you Thursday. The next few days passed in a blur of work obligations and daily calls to check on her father's progress at Rosewood. To her surprise, the reports were cautiously positive. He was participating in physical therapy, attending the required addiction counseling sessions, and following medical advice. When she visited on Wednesday evening, she found him in the community room playing chess, with another resident, his hands steadier than they had been at the hospital. Livy. His face brightened when he saw her. Meet Joe, former accountant, current chess master. He's teaching me humility one checkmate at a time. The easy camaraderie between the two men was unexpected. As Joe excused himself to give them privacy, Robert gestured toward the chair across from him. The physical therapist says I'm making good progress. Might not need the walker by next month. Pride mingled with determination in his voice. And I've been going to the GA meetings every day. Gamblers Anonymous. Olivia couldn't keep the surprise from her voice. Voluntarily, Poirot. Turns out near-death experiences are motivating. His attempt at humor fell flat. Look, I know you've heard promises before, but this time is different. I want to believe that, Dad. Then give me the chance to prove it. He reached for her hand across the chessboard. I'm not asking for money or a place to stay or anything except time. Time to show you I can change. The sincerity in his eyes gave Olivia pause. She had seen this expression before, the earnest commitment to reform, but never accompanied by actual follow-through. Still, something felt different this time. Perhaps it was the absence of charm or manipulation replaced by a humbler acknowledgement of his failures. Time I can give. She squeezed his hand briefly before letting go. Just don't waste it. Thursday evening found Olivia standing on the porch of Michael's new home, a bottle of wine in one hand and a bag of children's books in the other. Before she could knock, the door flew open to reveal Lily in a princess dress and Lucy in what appeared to be a self-designed superhero costume, complete with a cape made from a pillowcase. Miss Olivia, we've been waiting forever. Lucy grabbed the bag of books with unconcealed excitement. Are these for the library? They are. Some of my favorites from when I was your age. Olivia allowed herself to be pulled inside. I thought they might find a home on your shelves. The house felt different than during her first visit, more settled with furniture properly arranged, and most of the boxes unpacked. The aroma of garlic and herbs filled the air, and classical music played softly from hidden speakers. Michael emerged from the kitchen, drying his hands on a dish towel. Perfect timing. Dinner's almost ready. His smile was warm but restrained, as if he was deliberately trying not to overwhelm her. The girls had been rearranging the library all afternoon to make room for your contributions. Dinner was a relaxed affair, homemade lasagna, garlic bread, and a simple salad. The twins dominated the conversation with the elaborate stories about their new school friends and the treehouse they were convinced Michael should build in the backyard oak tree. Olivia found herself relaxing into the domestic scene, contributing her own childhood treehouse memories, and watching Michael's face as he listened to his daughter's increasingly ambitious architectural plans. After dinner, the twins insisted on an immediate exploration of the new books. As Lucy and Lily pored over colorful illustrations in the library, pointing out favorite pages to each other, Michael and Olivia stood in the doorway watching them. They've been like this since we moved in, constantly rearranging, categorizing, planning, reading nooks. Pride and love softened his voice. The library was their favorite room from the start. They're remarkable children. Olivia watched as Lily carefully placed a book on the perfect shelf, her small face serious with concentration. You've given them a true gift, the love of reading. Their mother started that tradition. I've just tried to continue it. Michael's expression grew more thoughtful. Rebecca would have loved this room. She always said books were windows to other worlds, especially when our own world feels too narrow. The mention of his late wife no longer felt like a barrier between them, but rather a shared understanding of loss and resilience. Olivia appreciated that he could speak of Rebecca with both love and acceptance, honoring her memory without being trapped by grief. How about a glass of wine on the porch? Michael suggested, after the twins were finally persuaded that bedtime couldn't be delayed by just one more book. The November evening was cool but not uncomfortable, stars emerging in a clear sky above the quiet neighborhood. They settled into wooden rocking chairs, the wine rich and warming in their glasses. How's your father doing? Michael broke the comfortable silence first. Surprisingly well, actually. Olivia wrapped her cardigan tighter around herself. He's attending all his therapies, participating in GA, even making friends with the other residents. It's unexpected. Sometimes a health crisis can be the wake-up call people need. Maybe. I'm trying not to get my hopes up too high. She sipped her wine, gathering courage for what she needed to say. Michael, I need to talk to you about something. His expression remained open, though a flicker of concern crossed his face. I'm listening. This house, the library, the way you've created space for me in your lives, it's beautiful and terrifying all at once. The words tumbled out before she could reconsider. I'm drawn to you and the twins more than I can express, but I'm also scared of how quickly this is happening, how easily I could lose myself in your world. Michael nodded slowly, taking her concerns seriously. I understand that fear. When Rebecca died, I was terrified of letting anyone new into our lives, not just because I was grieving, but because I was afraid of disrupting the fragile stability I'd managed to create for the girls. How did you move past that? I realized that true stability isn't about maintaining the status quo. It's about building foundations strong enough to support growth and change. Michael set his wine glass on the small table between them. The girls helped me see that children don't stay frozen in time no matter how much we might want to protect them from change. His insight resonated with something deep inside Olivia, the recognition that her quest for stability had sometimes veered into stagnation, a fear of moving forward rather than a solid foundation. I've spent my adult life defining myself in opposition to my father being responsible, where he was reckless stable, where he was chaotic, independent, where he was dependent. She traced the rim of her wine glass with one finger. But in the process, I think I've confused independence with isolation, stability with immobility. And now I'm trying to figure out what it means to let someone in without losing myself, to build connection without becoming dependent. Olivia met his gaze directly. I care about you, Michael. And I love your daughters more than I thought possible after such a short time. But I need to know that if we pursue this, you understand I'm not looking to be rescued or absorbed into your world. I need to maintain my own identity, my career, my independence. I would never want anything else. The sincerity in Michael's voice was unmistakable. What draws me to you is precisely who you are, your passion for your work, your principles, your self-sufficiency. I'm not looking for someone to fit into a predetermined role in our lives. I'm looking for a partner who brings her whole self to the relationship, who challenges me and helps me grow. His words eased something tight in Olivia's chest. And the girls, they're so young. They might not understand the need for boundaries and separate identities. Children are more adaptable than we give them credit for. They already respect that you have your own apartment, your own job, your own life. Michael leaned forward slightly. Besides, they've seen the worst already losing their mother. They understand in their own way that relationships aren't guaranteed. It makes them value connection even more. A gentle breeze stirred the wind chimes hanging from the porch eaves, their delicate music punctuating the night. Olivia found herself at a crossroads, continuing to hold Michael and the twins at a safe distance, or taking the risk of allowing them fully into her heart despite the uncertainties. I'd like to try. The words emerged softly but with conviction. To see where this might lead, but slowly with honesty about our fears and expectations. Michael's smile was worth the vulnerability it had cost her to speak those words. Slowly sounds perfect. We have time. The moment stretched between them, full of possibility and newfound understanding. Before it could develop further, the front door creaked open, revealing Lucy in her pajamas clutching her stuffed dragon. I can't sleep. The new house makes different noises. She rubbed her eyes sleepily. Can Miss Olivia read one more story? Please. Michael looked to Olivia, leaving the decision entirely to her. In that small gesture, respecting her boundaries even in a minor parenting moment, Olivia found her answer. One story. She held out her hand to Lucy, then straight back to bed, Dragon Tamer. Lucy's smile was radiant as she led Olivia back inside, up the stairs, into the bedroom where Lily was already half asleep. As Olivia settled into the reading chair between their beds, Lucy handed her a well-worn copy of The Paper Bag Princess, a tale of a resourceful young woman who saves herself rather than waiting for rescue. This one, please. Lucy climbed under her covers. It's my favorite because the princess is brave and smart, like you. The simple comparison offered with a child's straightforward honesty touched Olivia deeply. As she began reading, she felt something shift within her. Not a dramatic transformation, but a quiet certainty that these moments, these connections were worth the risk of pain they carried. When both girls had drifted to sleep, Olivia carefully closed the book and placed it on the nightstand. Michael stood in the doorway, watching with an expression that made her heart beat faster. "Thank you," he whispered as she joined him in the hallway, "not just for the story, but for taking the risk. One step at a time." She smiled, the words feeling like a promise rather than a limitation. The weeks that followed established a new rhythm in their lives. Olivia maintained her apartment and her independence, but gradually spent more evenings and weekends with Michael and the twins. They developed traditions: Friday movie nights, Saturday morning pancakes, Sunday afternoon walks in the park. Michael respected her need for space, never pressuring her to stay over or integrate their lives faster than she was comfortable with. Olivia's visits to Rosewood continued, each one revealing small but significant improvements in her father's health and attitude. 6 weeks into his stay, she arrived to find him leading a book discussion group for fellow residents, his gestures animated as he described a character's motivation in a mystery novel. "Books were always our connection," he explained later as they shared coffee in the facility's garden. "I remembered how much you loved stories as a child. Thought maybe others here might need that escape too." "It seems to be going well." Olivia watched a hummingbird dart among late-blooming flowers. "The therapist says you've been making excellent progress. One day at a time, like you said." Robert's hands were steadier now, his speech clearer. "Livy, there's something I need to tell you, something I should have said years ago." The serious tone made Olivia tense, preparing herself for disappointment or manipulation. "What is it?" "I'm sorry." The two simple words hung in the air between them. "Sorry for leaving, for choosing a lifestyle over you and your mother, for all the years of broken promises and disappointments. Sorry for becoming someone you couldn't trust or rely on." Tears pricked at Olivia's eyes, unexpected and unwelcome. "Dad, let me finish, please. This is part of my recovery program, but it's also long overdue." Robert's voice grew stronger, more certain. "I was a coward who ran from responsibility. I convinced myself you and your mother would be better off without me dragging you down. It was a lie I told myself to justify my selfishness." The raw honesty in his voice was unlike anything Olivia had heard from him before. This wasn't the charming manipulation he had deployed throughout her adulthood, but something deeper and more painful: genuine remorse. "I don't expect forgiveness. I haven't earned it." He reached across the small table, not quite touching her hand. "But I want you to know that I see now what I threw away. The beautiful, strong, principled woman you have become. That happened despite me, not because of me. And I am so, so proud of you." Emotions Olivia had suppressed for decades surged to the surface. Anger, grief, longing for the father he could have been, pride in the woman she had become regardless. Tears spilled down her cheeks as years of carefully maintained composure cracked. "I needed you." The words emerged as a whisper. "Not your money or even your presence every day. Just your love, your commitment, your follow-through on a single promise." "I know." Robert's own eyes filled with tears. "And there's nothing I can do to give you back those years. All I can offer is to be better from this moment forward for whatever time I have left." They sat in silence as autumn leaves drifted around them, the weight of the past and the fragile possibility of a different future hanging in the balance. Finally, Olivia reached out and briefly covered her father's hand with her own. "I can't promise forgiveness yet, but I can promise to remain open to the possibility that people can change, even you." It was a small concession, but the most she could honestly offer. Her father nodded, understanding the gift contained in those measured words. That evening, Olivia found herself driving to Michael's house without calling ahead, her emotions still raw from the conversation with her father. When Michael opened the door, one look at her face told him something significant had happened. "The girls are at a sleepover with school friends." He ushered her inside. "Ramon, what's wrong?" The simple concern in his voice broke the last of Olivia's composure. As tears began falling again, Michael guided her to the living room couch and simply held her while she cried, not trying to fix or minimize her pain, just offering the solid comfort of his presence. When the storm of emotion finally subsided, Olivia told him about her father's apology. The decades of hurt it had unearthed, the conflicting desire to believe in his change while protecting herself from further disappointment. "He's the reason I've kept everyone at arm's length." She wiped her eyes with the tissue Michael offered. "If your own father can abandon you, How can you trust anyone else to stay? You can't know for certain. Michael's honesty was gentler than false reassurance would have been. Life doesn't offer guarantees. Rebecca and I thought we had decades ahead of us, and then suddenly she was gone. But the alternative, never risking connection, means missing the bond along with the potential pain. How did you find the courage to open your heart again? After losing her, Olivia asked the question that had lingered between them for months. Michael considered his answer carefully. It wasn't a single moment of courage, but a series of small choices. Letting the girls see my grief instead of hiding it, accepting help from friends and family, eventually realizing that honoring Rebecca's memory didn't mean remaining frozen in the past. He shifted slightly to face her more directly. The hardest lesson was accepting that love isn't a limited resource. Loving someone new doesn't diminish what Rebecca and I shared. It's not replacement or betrayal, it's growth. The wisdom in his words resonated deeply with Olivia's own struggle, not with the loss of a spouse, but with the fear that opening herself to love meant risking the hard-won stability she had built. I'm tired of making decisions based on fear. Her voice grew stronger with conviction. Tired of defining myself by what I'm avoiding rather than what I'm building. What do you want to build? Michael's question was gentle but direct. A life that includes connection without sacrificing independence. Love without losing myself. Olivia met his gaze steadily. A future that isn't constrained by my past. The honesty of the moment stretched between them, both vulnerable and strengthening. Michael reached for her hand, his touch grounding rather than possessive. I'd like to be part of that future if you'll have me. His voice carried the weight of genuine commitment, not as a replacement for what you've built, but as a partner in what comes next. Something shifted in Olivia's chest, not the dramatic flip of romantic movies, but a quieter, deeper certainty that this man saw her clearly and valued her exactly as she was. Not despite her independence, but because of it. I'd like that too. The words came easily without the hesitation that had marked her previous responses to his overtures. But there's something we need to discuss first. Anything. The girls. Olivia straightened the topic, too important for ambiguity. If we pursue this relationship, they'll be affected. I need to know we're on the same page about what that means. Michael nodded, his expression serious. They've already grown attached to you. If this doesn't work out between us, they'll be hurt. Exactly, which is why we need to be certain before I become more integrated into their lives. Olivia's work with children had taught her the importance of stability and clear expectations. They've already lost their mother. I won't be another adult who disappears from their lives. What are you saying? A flicker of uncertainty crossed Michael's face. I'm saying I won't enter this relationship lightly. If I commit to you, I'm also committing to them, to being a consistent, loving presence in their lives, regardless of how our romantic relationship evolves. Olivia's voice was steady with conviction. And I need to know you understand what I'm offering and what I'm not. What you're not. I'm not trying to replace Rebecca. I won't erase her memory or pretend to be their biological mother. They already have a mother, even if she's no longer physically present. Olivia had given this considerable thought during her cautious integration into their lives. What I can be is another adult who loves them completely, who creates her own relationship with them based on our shared experiences and connection. Michael's eyes filled with emotion as he absorbed her words. You've thought about this deeply. They deserve nothing less. Olivia squeezed his hand. Neither do you. Olivia Parker. Michael's voice carried a note of wonder. You continue to amaze me with your thoughtfulness and integrity. Is that a yes? You understand and agree to these terms. She kept her tone light, but the question was entirely serious. Yes, completely. Michael's smile held both gratitude and admiration. The girls are lucky to have you in their lives in whatever capacity feels right to all of us. The conversation shifted to more practical considerations, how to talk to the twins about their evolving relationship, maintaining individual family traditions, while creating new ones together, balancing time at each other's homes. As they worked through these details, Olivia felt a growing certainty that this relationship was fundamentally different from anything she had experienced before, built on mutual respect, clear communication, and shared values rather than romantic fantasy or convenience. When she finally left for her apartment that evening, Something had solidified between them. Not a traditional commitment with rings or formal declarations, but something equally meaningful, a mutual understanding of what they were building together and a shared vision of how to move forward. The following weeks brought a flurry of holiday preparations. Thanksgiving approached with crisp air and falling leaves, stores filled with decorations, and the twins bubbling with excitement about crafting hand-shaped turkeys at school. Michael invited Olivia to join them for the holiday, an invitation she accepted after confirming her father would be celebrating with the Rosewood community. The Tuesday before Thanksgiving, Olivia arrived at Michael's house to find the kitchen in cheerful chaos. Cookbooks lay open on every surface, ingredients crowded the countertops, and the twins stood on step stools arguing over the proper method for creating handprint cookies. "We're practicing," Michael explained as he greeted her with a quick kiss. "The girls insisted we need a trial run before the actual meal." "Very wise." Olivia hung her coat on the rack by the door. "What can I do to help?" Lucy immediately assigned her to cranberry sauce duty, while Lily solemnly presented her with a child-size apron decorated with glitter and painted handprints. The evening dissolved into laughter, flour-covered surfaces, and surprisingly edible results despite the unorthodox cooking methods employed by the 5-year-old sous chefs. As they cleaned up after their feast, Lucy turned to Olivia with her characteristic directness. "Are you going to live with us someday?" The question brought all activity in the kitchen to a halt. Michael froze mid-dishwashing, clearly unsure whether to intervene or let Olivia handle the inquiry. Olivia knelt to Lucy's level, recognizing the importance of the moment. "Would you like me to live with you someday?" Lucy nodded emphatically. "Then you could read us stories every night, not just sometimes." "And help with library organizing," Lily added practically. "Daddy doesn't understand the right way to shelve dragon books." "Those are good reasons." Olivia kept her tone light while acknowledging the serious question beneath. "Right now I have my own apartment, and I love spending time with you at your house. In the future, we might decide that living together makes sense, but that would be a big decision that all four of us would need to talk about together." "Like a family meeting." Lily's expression was serious. "Exactly like a family meeting." Olivia glanced up at Michael, who was watching the exchange with evident emotion. "For now, though, I'll still be here for stories and library organizing and pancakes, just not every single day." "Promise." Lucy's small face was solemn. "I promise." Olivia's response carried the weight of true commitment, not a casual reassurance. "Some things might change as we go forward, but my caring for you won't." Later, after the twins were asleep, Michael and Olivia sat in the library with mugs of tea, the day's events settling around them like a comfortable blanket. "You handled that beautifully." Michael broke the comfortable silence. "The living together question." "It's been on my mind too," Olivia admitted, curling her legs beneath her in the reading chair. "Not immediately, but eventually. It's the natural progression if this continues to develop." "And how do you feel about that possibility?" Michael's question was careful without pressure, increasingly open to it. She sipped her tea, considering her words. "A year ago, the idea would have terrified me, giving up my independent space, integrating my life so completely with someone else's. Now it feels, not scary exactly, but significant. A step I'd want to take consciously, not slide into by default." "I completely agree." Michael leaned forward, his expression earnest. "When and if that time comes, it should be a deliberate choice we make together, including the girls in the conversation in age-appropriate ways." "Speaking of deliberate choices," Olivia set her mug on the side table, "I've been thinking about the future of Reading Roots." The mobile reading program they had begun to discuss weeks earlier had gradually taken shape, Michael providing quiet financial backing, while Olivia developed the educational framework and recruited volunteers from the library community. Though still in planning stages, the project had grown into something they were building together, combining his resources with her expertise. "What about it?" Michael's interest was immediate. "I've been offered the opportunity to direct children's programming for the entire county library system." Olivia had received the offer just days earlier, a significant promotion that recognized her talent for engaging young readers. It would mean more responsibility, better pay, and the chance to implement reading routes across multiple communities, not just our neighborhood. "Olivia, that's wonderful." Michael's genuine excitement for her success warmed her. "When would you start?" "January if I accept." She watched his reaction carefully. It would mean some evening meetings, occasional weekend events, less flexibility in my schedule, at least initially. And you're concerned about how that might affect us, the girls? Michael intuited the unspoken question. Yes, we've found a good rhythm these past weeks. This would disrupt that at least temporarily. Michael set his own mug down and moved to sit on the ottoman in front of her chair, taking her hands in his. Listen to me. Your career matters not just to you, but to all the children who benefit from your talent and dedication. We'll adapt our rhythm. The girls and I can attend your events, help with reading routes, adjust our schedule to support your work just as you've accommodated ours. The complete lack of hesitation in his response, the absence of any suggestion that she might consider a less demanding role for the sake of their relationship confirmed what Olivia had already begun to believe, that Michael truly valued her ambitions and independence as much as their connection. I was hoping you'd say that. She squeezed his hands, relief evident in her smile. I'm going to accept the position. We should celebrate. Michael's pride in her achievement was evident. The girls will want to make congratulatory pancakes once they hear the news. There's something else I wanted to discuss. Olivia's tone shifted to something more serious. My father. Michael's expression remained open, encouraging her to continue. His doctors say he can be discharged from Rosewood in January. He's doing well, 8 weeks sober, physical therapy goals, all met, even saving a portion of his Social Security payments toward future housing. The progress still surprised Olivia, though she remained cautiously optimistic. But he'll need somewhere to live, and his options are limited on his income. What are you thinking? Michael asked without judgment. There's a senior living apartment complex near my place, modest but decent, with some support services available. I could help with a portion of the rent, at least initially. Olivia had calculated the numbers carefully. With my new salary, it would be manageable without compromising my own financial security. That sounds like a thoughtful solution. Michael's support was evident, helping without enabling, maintaining appropriate boundaries. Exactly. Olivia felt a weight lift at his understanding. I want to believe he's changed to support his recovery, but I also need to protect myself from falling back into old patterns. For what it's worth, I think you're striking the right balance. Michael's thumb traced circles on the back of her hand. Cautious optimism, practical support with clear limits. The conversation shifted to holiday plans, rating routes developments, and the twins' upcoming school performance. As the evening grew late, Olivia reluctantly gathered her things to head back to her apartment. Stay. Michael's invitation was soft without pressure. It's late, and the guest room is made up. Olivia hesitated, considering the implications. She had never stayed overnight, maintaining that boundary despite their deepening relationship. The twins would notice in the morning, asking questions, drawing conclusions. Not yet. She touched his cheek gently. Soon, but not tonight. When I stay, I want it to be a conscious choice we've discussed with the girls, not something that happens by default. Michael nodded, understanding and respecting her reasoning without argument. I admire your thoughtfulness about this. The girls do too, even if they don't have the words for it yet. Walk me to my car. She reached for her coat. The November night, chilly beyond the warm circle of the house. Outside, stars glittered in a clear sky, the air crisp with the promise of winter. Michael wrapped his arm around her shoulders as they walked slowly to her car, neither rushing the moment of separation. Will you come to Thanksgiving? Michael asked as they reached her vehicle. I know we talked about it, but with your new job offer and your father's progress, you might want to celebrate with him. I'll be here. Olivia turned to face him fully. Dad understands. We're having lunch together the day after. We could include him in our celebration if you'd like. Ustam's offer was genuine, without obligation. There's always room at our table. The generosity of spirit behind the invitation, welcoming a man Michael had never met, whose addiction and abandonment had shaped Olivia's approach to relationships, touched her deeply. Thank you. Maybe next year when he's further along in his recovery. She reached up to touch Michael's face, her palm warm against his cheek. You're a good man, Michael Sullivan. I'm trying to be. His smile was soft in the moonlight. For the girls, for you, for myself. The simple honesty of his response crystallized something Olivia had been feeling for weeks but hadn't yet articulated even to herself. Standing in the cool autumn night, stars overhead, and the warm glow of the house behind them, she found the courage to speak the truth that had been growing in her heart. I love you. The words emerged clearly without qualification or hesitation. Not despite your wealth or success or parenthood, but because of who you are beneath all of that. Your integrity, your kindness, your capacity for growth. Michael's breath caught his eyes, reflecting both surprise and profound joy. I love you too, Olivia. I think I have since that first night when you drew terrible cats on napkins and paid for dinner without a second thought. Their kiss held the promise of a shared future not perfect or without challenges, but built on mutual respect, clear communication, and genuine love. When they finally parted, Olivia felt a sense of rightness settle in her chest as if the final piece of a complex puzzle had clicked into place. I'll see you tomorrow, she promised as she got into her car. Library committee meeting, then story time with the girls. We'll be waiting. Michael's smile carried certainty rather than anxiety about her departure. Drive safely. Thanksgiving morning dawned bright and clear, the November sun gilding fallen leaves with golden light. Olivia arrived at Michael's house early, arms full of grocery bags containing her contributions to the meal, her mother's cranberry relish recipe, ingredients for pumpkin pie, and fresh flowers for the table. The twins greeted her with flying hugs and excited chatter about the Macy's parade they were watching on television. Michael followed more sedately, coffee mug in hand, his smile warming as he took in the sight of Olivia in his entryway, grocery bags at her feet, accepting the enthusiastic welcome of his daughters. Happy Thanksgiving! He leaned in for a quick kiss. Let me help with those bags. The day unfolded in a tapestry of domestic moments, preparing food together in the kitchen, the twins creating increasingly elaborate table decorations, football playing quietly in the background, as savory aromas filled the house. It wasn't the first holiday Olivia had spent with them, but it felt different, somehow more settled, more certain, as if they had crossed an invisible threshold from dating to family without formal announcement. As Michael carved the turkey and the twins squabbled good-naturedly over who would get the wishbone, Olivia found herself taking a mental photograph of the moment, not with nostalgia or sentimentality, but with the quiet recognition that she was exactly where she wanted to be, with exactly the people she wanted to be with. The meal was everything a Thanksgiving feast should be: abundant, slightly chaotic, filled with laughter and minor spills that no one minded. When they had eaten their refills of turkey and sides, Michael proposed they share what they were thankful for before dessert. I'll start, he offered, his gaze moving around the table to include each of them. I'm thankful for second chances and new beginnings, for the courage to open our hearts again after loss. Lucy went next, balancing slightly in her seat. I'm thankful for dragons and books and Miss Olivia teaching me to draw better cats than Daddy. I'm thankful for our new house and the library and that we're all together. Lily added, her expression more contemplative than her sister's. And for pie. When it was Olivia's turn, she felt three pairs of eyes on her, waiting expectantly. The words rose naturally without rehearsal or constraint. I'm thankful for wrong tables and purple cats and the family we're building together. She reached for Michael's hand on one side and Lucy's on the other, for the chance to love and be loved exactly as we are. The twins nodded as if this made perfect sense, more interested in the promised pie than the emotional undercurrents of the adult conversation. But Michael's eyes held a depth of understanding that needed no words' acknowledgement of how far they had come in recognition of the journey still ahead. Later, after dessert had been devoured and the twins convinced to help with minimal cleanup, before returning to their holiday movie, Michael pulled Olivia into a quiet corner of the kitchen. I have something for you. He reached into his pocket and withdrew a small box. Not what you might think, so don't panic. Curious, Olivia opened it to find a key nestled on velvet, not a symbolic or decorative one, but a practical house key attached to a small purple stone keychain. For whenever you're ready. Michael's voice was gentle with understanding. No timeline, no pressure. Just so you know, the door is always open to you, literally and figuratively. The gesture embodied everything she had come to love about him: his respect for her boundaries, his patience with her process, his ability to make significant moments feel both meaningful and natural. Thank you. She closed her hand around the key, the weight of it solid and reassuring in her palm. For understanding that some steps need to be taken slowly, to be taken well. We have time. Michael brushed a strand of hair from her face, his touch conveying both affection and respect. All the time we need. From the living room came the sound of Lucy calling for them, insistent that they were missing the best part of the movie. Olivia slipped the key into her pocket, a promise of future possibilities rather than immediate change. As they settled on the couch, the twins immediately rearranging themselves to be touching both adults, Olivia felt a sense of peace she had rarely experienced. Not the wary stability she had constructed around herself for protection, but something deeper and more resilient. The certainty that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, four unique individuals building a shared life without losing their distinct selves. Lucy rested her head against Olivia's shoulder, half watching the movie and half dozing after the substantial meal. "This is the best Thanksgiving ever," she murmured sleepily. "It is indeed." Olivia met Michael's gaze over the child's head, finding in his eyes the same quiet joy she felt in her own heart. The very best. Outside, the November day faded toward evening, tea leaves dancing in the autumn breeze, stars beginning to emerge in the darkening sky. Inside, in the warm circle of light created by their presence together, a family continued to take shape, not defined by blood or legal documents, but by choice and commitment in love freely given. It wasn't a fairy tale ending with princes and castles, nor was it the culmination of a conventional romance with roses and grand gestures. It was something more authentic in enduring a beginning rather than an ending, a foundation upon which to build a shared future while honoring their individual paths. As Olivia watched the twins drift toward sleep, their small bodies warm and trusting against her, and Michael, she silently thanked whatever twist of fate had led her to the wrong table on that ordinary evening months ago. Sometimes she reflected the most important journeys begin with a simple misunderstanding, a moment of kindness, and the courage to see what might grow from an unexpected beginning.